Hannah, say I'm the parent of a teenager and I've noticed scars on my teenager's arms. Inside I'm panicking. What should I do?
It's really understandable to feel a real sense of shock, and I've spoken to parents that have been in exactly this situation. I would say how you react to your young person is important. So where possible, you want to avoid coming across with a real sense of disapproval, disappointment, reacting out of your fear or even frustration that your young person, your teenager, didn't feel that they were able to open up and confide in you, because clearly they've been struggling and you may not have even been aware. I think young people can also feel a real sense of shame around this. You don't want to do anything which compounds that. In my experience, I think young people do this for a number of reasons, and these are just some. One is because they don't know how to express the emotions that they've got inside of them, or even they don't know how to identify what the feelings are. But I know for some, it is a method of actively avoiding connecting with what is going on inside. So they're causing themselves some physical pain to avoid facing the emotional pain. Depending on your relationship with your teenager, I would definitely say you're going to need to talk to them. And do that in a context of love, acceptance, care, because they're going to want your reassurance. Depending on the scars or how old they are, we would always advise seeking the advice and guidance from a GP, or you could enlist the help of someone at school. Maybe you've got a pastoral lead that you could chat with, because it's likely that they're going to be able to signpost you for further help or even refer your young person for counselling. The goal, I guess, is to give your teenager the right tools to be able to not only deal with the underlying issues, but also learn healthy methods to express their emotions going forward. Because self-harm and that sort of behaviour can become quite habitual, and so breaking those habits can be a real challenge. Not only are you trying to give them a language, but maybe you're trying to break some ingrained habits. For our young people, for our parents that we support, we would advise something like maybe getting an elastic band, or so that when they're feeling like they want to do that, they can, by just sort of pinging it against their wrist, you get a sharp sting, but obviously you're not harming yourself. And similarly, something like holding ice can cause pain, but without harm. Drawing, some young people do draw on themselves, but really you want to move them and encourage them to move away from sort of the physical pain and move on to something like, journaling. And even if they can't write words, they can't connect those language for emotions and get that out, it's scribbling, doodling, and of course not reading it is also very important, however tempting that might be. So those are the sort of things that we would advise to our parents and carers.
And you mentioned about talking to your teenagers. How do you start those conversations?
Well, of course, it's going to require courage on the part of a parent to go there. But you need to think there are better ways, or there are helpful ways to do that. So from speaking with teenagers, they say that they would prefer that their parent took them on like a walk with the dog, or took them on a car journey, because of course that's got a safety net, because we're not making eye contact. We don't need to make eye contact. I can avert my gaze, and that's a bit more comfortable if we're going to discuss something where I feel quite vulnerable. Also, car journeys, walks, they give a natural exit point where, we come to a conclusion, I get to walk away from you. And that is also really helpful for a teenager, know that there is an out at the end of it. So consider your child's temperament. I'd say, are they a morning person? Are they an evening person? And you're going to have to work with that a little bit as well in terms of the timing of it. So those would just be some sort of suggestions. And maybe even when you begin that conversation, instead of, obviously, self-harm is quite a stark phrase, and you could just perhaps say something a bit softer, like, I noticed the other day that there were some marks on your arms, and I was just wondering whether you would tell me about it. And that can be and then pause and let them talk, and that can be a really helpful way, in a softer way, and less confrontational. Really, the goal is for our teenagers is to give them the tools so that they can deal with any underlying reasons that are causing sort of the emotions they have, but also the healthy strategies or tools really, to methods to express their emotions and their feelings. And I really do believe that teenagers can unlearn unhealthy habits if they've got into them, such as self-harming, and they can choose, with the right support and strategies and practice, they can choose better methods to express and language to express what's going on inside, and that's what we want for them.
Hannah, thank you.